Hello, my name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. My story took a hard turn after I lost my mother. She had always been my source of strength, and after she passed away, life as I knew it completely changed. Not long after my mother was gone, my father remarried. His new wife, Linda, seemed nice at first, but that changed quickly. She began treating me like an outsider in my own home, always giving me cold looks and finding ways to make me feel uncomfortable. I tried my best to get along with her for my father's sake, but Linda didn't make it easy. Over time, she began spreading rumors and accusing me of things I didn't do. She would tell my father and neighbors that I was causing trouble, taking money, or disrespecting her. It felt like she was trying to force me out, making my life there harder every day. But what Linda didn't know was that the house we were living in actually belonged to me. My grandfather had left it to me in his will, hoping it would give me security and stability. At first, I kept this information to myself, hoping Linda's attitude would change. But as things got worse, I started thinking about how I could use this secret to stand up for myself and reclaim my life. The tension in the house kept growing each day. Linda would find new ways to make my life difficult. She would leave snide comments about how I wasn't contributing enough or claim that I wasn't grateful for everything my father had done for me. She even tried to convince him that I was a burden, someone he needed to let go of so he could focus on his new family. I didn't want to put my father in a difficult position, but Linda's behavior was pushing me to my limit. I tried talking to my father, but he didn't seem to understand what was happening. He would always brush it off, saying things like, "Linda's just adjusting, Sarah. Give her time." But it wasn't just about adjusting, she wanted me gone. Finally, one evening, after another of Linda's made-up accusations, I knew it was time to take control. I went to my room, sat down, and took out the documents my grandfather had left me. In black and white, it was clearly stated that the house was mine. It was strange to think of it this way, as I had always thought of it as our family home. But I knew this was the only way I could protect myself from being pushed out. The next morning, I made a decision. I called a real estate agent and started the process of selling the house. It felt both empowering and bittersweet. This was my home, filled with memories of my mother and my childhood. But it was also the place where I had been treated like I didn't belong. And now it was time to move on. That same day, I quietly packed my things. Linda noticed me carrying boxes and smirked, thinking she'd finally won. She had no idea that I was about to change everything. As I closed the door behind me, I felt a strange sense of relief. I didn't know where this journey would lead, but I was ready for it. The next morning, I was woken by a call from my lawyer. "Sarah, it's done," he said, confirming that the sale of the house had gone through. I felt a strange mix of emotions, relief, freedom, and a touch of sadness. But there was also a deep satisfaction knowing I had taken control of my life. Later that day, my lawyer delivered the eviction notice to Linda and my father. I could only imagine the shock on their faces when they realized that the house was no longer theirs. I knew it wouldn't take long for them to come looking for me, desperate to undo the consequences of their actions. By evening, my prediction came true. I was staying in a small, cozy apartment I had rented across town. Just as I was settling in, there was a loud knock on my door. I opened it to see my father and Linda standing there, looking frantic. "Sarah, please, we need to talk," my father said, his voice full of desperation. He didn't even wait for an invitation before stepping into the apartment. Linda, looking humbled and shaken, trailed in after him, no longer with the smug expression she'd once worn around me. "We didn't know, Sarah. We thought the house belonged to us," my father stammered, clearly overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of anger and pity. "I tried to tell you, Dad. I wanted to stay, to keep the family together. But Linda, she made it impossible. You both treated me like I didn't belong in my own home." Linda, looking down, finally spoke up. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't realize. I didn't know the house was yours. I thought I was protecting my place in the family," she said. Her voice was softer than I'd ever heard it, and for a moment, she almost seemed sincere. But I wasn't ready to forgive just yet. I needed them to understand the impact of what they had done, to feel the pain they had caused me. Linda, you made me feel like a stranger. You lied about me, twisted everything, and drove me out. And Dad, you believed her over your own daughter. They both looked at me, stunned and silent. I could see that they regretted what they'd done, but I wasn't going to let them off that easily. I'm not coming back, I said firmly. I needed to take control of my life, and now I have. Maybe one day I'll forgive you both, but for now I need space. You'll have to find a new place to live. Maybe this will be a lesson for both of you. With that, I closed the door, leaving them outside in silence. For the first time in a long time, I felt free, finally able to move forward and start fresh on my own terms. In the days that followed, I began to settle into my new life, free from the constant tension and bitterness that had filled the old house. My apartment was small but comfortable, and I was finally able to relax without worrying about accusations or hostility. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. But a week later, I received a message from my father. He asked if we could meet for coffee, just the two of us. I hesitated, wondering if he truly understood the hurt I'd been through. Part of me wanted to move on entirely, but another part of me felt that maybe there was a chance to rebuild a piece of our relationship. After some thought, I agreed. When we met at a quiet cafe in town, my father looked older and more worn than I remembered. He seemed genuinely remorseful, and I could tell that this past week hadn't been easy for him. "Sarah, I know I failed you," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't stand up for you when I should have. I let Linda's lies cloud my judgment, and I hurt my own daughter. I'm so sorry for that." His words struck a chord in me. Hearing him take responsibility meant more than I had expected. Still, I needed to be honest. "Dad, it wasn't just about believing Linda's lies. You didn't listen to me, didn't even try to see things from my side. I felt abandoned by you, just when I needed you most." He nodded, clearly fighting back tears. "I know, Sarah. I can't take back what happened, but I hope you'll give me a chance to make it up to you. I want to be there for you, truly, as your father." I looked at him, feeling the years of pain and frustration starting to lift just a little. "It's not going to be easy," I said slowly. "We both have to work at this, and it'll take time for me to fully trust you again. But I'm willing to try." He reached across the table and took my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze.
Thank you, Sarah.
"I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." Our conversation continued, lighter this time, with both of us sharing memories of my mother and the happier days from my childhood. For the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild what had been broken. As we said goodbye, I felt a sense of closure that I hadn't thought possible. Linda was still out of my life, and I had no intention of changing that. But with my father, perhaps there was a path forward. I walked away from that cafe feeling lighter, knowing I was no longer trapped by the pain of the past. I was ready to live my life on my own terms, free and at peace with the choices I had made. Weeks passed, and life settled into a steady rhythm. My relationship with my father was still fragile, but we kept in touch regularly, each conversation slowly helping to mend the wounds of the past. He was genuinely trying, and I could feel that he wanted to earn back my trust. Linda, however, stayed out of the picture, which was exactly how I wanted it. Then, one afternoon, as I was organizing some things in my apartment, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find Linda standing there, looking uncertain and almost nervous. I was caught off guard, not expecting her to show up at my doorstep. "Sarah, I know I'm probably the last person you want to see," she started, her eyes not quite meeting mine. "But I wanted to talk to you. I owe you an apology, a real one." I crossed my arms, unsure of what to say. Part of me wanted to slam the door, but another part was curious about what she had to say. I motioned for her to come in, and we sat down across from each other in the small living room. Linda took a deep breath, her voice shaking slightly. "I was wrong, Sarah. I let my insecurities and my need for control take over, and I hurt you in ways I can't even begin to make up for. I convinced myself that you were a threat to my place in the family, and I acted out of jealousy. I see now that I was wrong, and I'm so sorry." Her words were sincere, but I wasn't ready to forgive her so easily. "Linda, You made my life a nightmare. You lied about me, manipulated my father, and tried to push me out of my own home. It wasn't just a mistake, it was intentional, and you knew what you were doing." She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "I know, and I'll never be able to erase the damage I've done. I just wanted you to know that I understand the pain I caused, and if there's anything I can do to make things right, I'll do it." I sat in silence, taking in her words. Part of me wanted to let go of the anger and move on, but another part needed her to understand that forgiveness wasn't something she could simply ask for and receive. "Linda," I said slowly, "I'm glad you're owning up to what you did. But forgiveness isn't something I can give you right now. It's going to take time, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully forgive you." She nodded, accepting my words. "I understand. Thank you for at least listening to me." With that, she stood up to leave. As I walked her to the door, I felt a weight lift slightly. I wasn't ready to forget what she'd done, but I realized I didn't have to hold on to the anger anymore. She had her own guilt to carry, and I had my own peace to protect. As she left, I took a deep breath, feeling a new sense of freedom. I had taken control of my life, moved past the pain, and set boundaries that I could finally respect. My past no longer held power over me, and I was free to build a future on my own terms. For the first time in years, I felt at peace.